And we're back. A little technical difficulty. All right, so I think what we're going to talk about next is, what's your experience of your higher self? You were talking about how you get into this tiny space of your heart, and that when we do that, we can actually have this direct communication. And I know not everybody has the same divine experience. So what's your experience, and what might other people look for when they might be getting into that tiny space, or when they begin to communicate with their higher selves?
Well, my personal experience, of course, is very unique to me, and everyone's experience of their own inner divinity is going to be unique to them. But for me, I actually do see an image of my higher self, and she's very crystalline in nature and large, and I can go into the tiny space of my heart and have this direct communication. And I don't necessarily hear words like speaking from beyond, or exact words. It's more of a sense and a feeling, and I definitely feel her presence when I tune in and can be in that tiny space. And I can also just have the experience of walking about in my world and being unclear about something, and just kind of going within and asking for that inner guidance. So, you might call it your higher self, but you might even call it your inner self, like your inner knowing, your inner divinity, your inner guidance system.
And this is not something that somebody has to find, right? It's really a matter of accessing something that's already there, right?
Perfect. Yes, absolutely. Yes, if we are these multidimensional beings and we exist on different levels of consciousness and awareness, it already is. It's just a matter of being able to remove a little bit of the blinders and be able to see a little bit more of the bigger picture that is already there.
Something you said about the size of your higher self, this crystalline figure that you see, brings up a question for me about Egypt, and maybe I'm putting you on the spot. I don't know if you know the answer to this question, but in the hieroglyphs or the pictures or paintings you see of Egyptian figures, there'll be the sort of the smaller figure, and then the bigger figure, and then the really big figure. Is that an example of how they might have been accessing different dimensions as Egyptians in ancient Egypt?
Yes, absolutely. At least when Drunvalo talks about this in the Ancient Secret of the Flower of Life books, he'll talk about how those statues, different size beings, were different dimensional beings of different awarenesses. And it wasn't symbolic to mean that this king was so great that he has a large statue. It's just that was the level of consciousness that being was at. Where in fourth dimension, at this size, at three-dimensional level, we are 5 to 6 feet tall. Fourth dimensional beings like 12 to 15 feet tall. Fifth dimensional about 35 feet tall. And so it was fascinating when I was there to go in some of these temples. And the doorways and the gateways are huge. And everything about it is huge. It makes you realize, wow, this whole temple was built for that level of consciousness.
Wow.
At least that was
that's just mind-blowing to me. Yeah, that's great. So explain the benefits. I know we touched on it a little bit, but why would somebody want to? For me, it's always, okay, why does anybody want to do this? Why do we want to get in contact with our higher selves?
As in Drunvalo's words, he talks about when you can make direct contact with your higher self, you've just won the game of life.
And who doesn't want to win? I know I want to win. Yeah. That's great. Well, thank you so much, Viola, for joining me today and having me over to your lovely yard. And I just want to thank everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you again next time on Spirit Primer. Thanks.